Hello and welcome to the second round of the 2018 IAME European Series from Marienborg in Belgium. It is an absolutely fantastic weekend that awaits us here for all of the fantastic classes we have from X30 Mini, Super Shifter, Junior and Senior. We've had all of the qualifying sessions. We now have 33 races ahead of us, and it's been 8 weeks since the first round of the championship at Salbris in France. We had 4 different winners there, of course. In the X30 Minis, it was Alejandro Melendez who got himself up to the top end there. Alejandro Melendez, Pardi of Spain. He's going to be in the field again here this weekend in the X30 Minis, but he's got a lot of work to do from the tail end of the field, but he will work his way forward. In the Junior X30s, it was the man from Dalry in Scotland, Lewis Gilbert, for the KR Sport team, who was so ridiculously strong and fought off the attentions of Mari Boyer last time out. In the Senior X30, it was Mark Kimber who deliberately got himself to the top of the table so that he could spray me with champagne, and he will now go off in the top 10 of his qualifying group from earlier, but there's 70 drivers in Senior X30, so that's going to be a very tall order for him to achieve. And then in the Super Shifters, we had Stendorian Pinamagi walk away with the victory at Salbris 8 weeks ago. He's now going to be in a very tight battle this weekend with the Swiss driver Kevin Luddy, who matched him to the 1,000th of a second in qualifying. Both karts setting a time of 53.787. It really was absolutely spectacular. We've just finished the X30 Senior qualifying groups. All 3 of those groups now completed here at the Karting de Fagnes International Raceway in Belgium. And we've had 3 different drivers in the fastest times of each of their groups. We had Nicolas Pico fastest of all, as the fastest in the second session. The first fastest session time was from Eli Goldstein, the local driver, and he set exactly the same time over the course of the sessions as Joe Turney, who will start 3rd on the grid. The fastest driver in the 3rd group was the Australian Sean Butcher, who will start 4th position overall from the qualifying times, at least, courtesy of his time. Now, each of those groups of drivers are now going to be separated again into different groups, and that of course gives us our ultimate fastest times as we go into the qualifying heats, and those grids will come to me a little later once we have them. But we know the starting order for each of the qualifying heats in the X30 Minis, Super Shifters and Juniors, and now we have the X30 Senior grids as well, so we'll be able to talk you through that in just a moment's time. We're also in this first half an hour going to be getting a few of the drivers from the paddock up here to the commentary box to talk to us about how the weekend is going and how things are going to fare, and I think we already have our first guest about to come up into the commentary box, so in a couple of minutes time we'll go to that. But it's going to be an interesting run because we've got so many different drivers in the field this season. We're going to have a really interesting battle from Mini, Junior, Senior and Super Shifters. It's going to be much closer this weekend than it was in Salbris, not to denigrate the Salbris track at all, but it is a very different style of race circuit. Salbris is very fast, very technical circuit with a lot of big straights, fast-flowing apexes. This is much more twisty, much more complex. It's difficult to get the setup right here, and you need to have a really good ebb and flow rhythm for this particular circuit. It has to be done in a particularly fantastic fashion, and you really need to be on your A game to make it happen. So it's a really complicated circuit to get right. You have to be absolutely alert and attentive to the setup. It's going to be a very difficult one for drivers to get right. And speaking of getting it right, we're now going to talk to one of the drivers who did an absolutely fantastic job last time out at Salbris, who is leading the X30 Junior Championship at the moment. It is the Scotsman Lewis Gilbert. I'll just switch your microphone on there, Lewis. Good to see you. How are things since Salbris?
Yeah, everything's been going well so far. We've been doing well in the UK and so far this weekend.
So obviously testing yesterday was very, very hot, very intensive. You had to do an awful lot of work to get the car set up. What's it like here compared to Salbris?
Oh, it's slightly warmer. The tracks, there's various different, there's like tight corners, long straights. I have to have a bit of both a straight line speed and a lot of bottom power.
So over the course of the season, we're obviously going to see a lot of really interesting battles, and you've been locked in a bit of a titanic grudge match at the moment with Mari Boyer, but you've been faster than him so far through qualifying. I mean, how's that going to set you up for the races itself? How do you think that's going to continue?
Yeah, we qualified quite well. All we need to do is qualify in front of the people that we need to race with. That's like Mari Boyer, Luca Lystra. So we've done quite well, so we need to just stay ahead and just think about the win.
And there's a lot of support for you back home in Dalry. It's been a great start to the season, both in the UK Championship and here in Europe as well. You're really on a crest of a wave at the moment. What's really been the turning point over the winter to really boost your confidence levels?
We done a lot of testing and we moved teams to KR Sport. They've really helped us a lot. They've done a lot to get us fast. They've really tried everything just so then we can win, and it's helped. So that's really helped us go faster.
And you've been working really closely as well with your teammates. There's a really nice atmosphere within the KR Sport team. You really seem to be growing as a driver this year.
Yeah, me and Clayton work together well in the UK, and I'm the only junior in Europe, so it's quite good. So I can just focus on what I'm doing, trying to do the best I can.
Now, one of the big talking points this weekend, Lewis, and I'm going to be honest with you about this, is going to be the Nassau panel, the new feature on the OTK. And I've noticed already there's a grin that's come on your face the second we've started talking about it. Some teams have done this purely because other teams are doing it. Some are doing it because they're genuinely finding a performance advantage. What's your personal opinion of it?
I think it's just a different style. There's not really much difference between anything really. It's just the Tony Kart team put it on, now everybody's got it on, so it's just what the things happen. Somebody does something, everybody does that.
Have you actually noticed a change in the balance of the kart at all? Is there anything significant that you have found an improvement with it?
I've not really found anything. It's just the same as the old one, really.
Okay, so over the course of the weekend, we've got an incredible stroke of races. You've got so many heats to go through before we get to the qualifying stages tomorrow. The target obviously has to be to try and maintain your championship advantage, but it is going to be so close this weekend with so many drivers battling away. What's the ultimate goal? Do you think you can win this weekend?
Well, that's really what I want to do, but it's just all about getting points. It's just really about staying clean, not getting those cones, just about being the best you can be.
And obviously the training that you've done here, you were here a week or so ago testing, so you know this circuit like the back of your hand now. Where can you find a really good, where are you really strong on this circuit? Which sector, can you really get a good handle on?
I think I'm really good in the mental sector. In the first and last, I'm the same as I do, but the mental sector, I think I'm quite strong, and that's where I get most of my time, really.
So obviously you're going to be towards the sharp end in the X30 Juniors. Which drivers do you envisage are going to give you your toughest challenge this weekend? Who's really going to be pushing it?
Luca Lystra, Matty Boyer, Max Mayer. I think the boys that are normally quite fast. Dylan Van Toff, he's done quite well last weekend as well, so it'll be tough.
Okay, well it looks like a tough weekend ahead of you. Good luck, and we wish you all the best. Lewis Gill.